This Las Vegas Grand Prix 2024 Betting Picks edition of the F1 Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a new social sportsbook available in 45 states. Download the Rebet app and use code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Get ready for speed.
You just wait, sunshine. You just wait.
Get ready for the passion.
To whom it may concern you.
Get ready for the raw emotion.
Sì, ragazzi! Grazie, dai, forza Ferrari!
Get ready for the F1 Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb. Oh, yeah, buddy. It's the F1 Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Preston pointing out already in the chat, oh, we back. Yes, we are. Preston, it's been 3 months, so it's time for another F1 race. Cody, that's how this works, and we're back again after our 3-month vacation, and you're having a good time.
Rod, there's racing to bet on this weekend. LFG. Oh, I'm so excited. Of course, NASCAR done for the season, as we know, but F1, we still have 3 races remaining, including the Las Vegas Grand Prix this weekend, which probably was the most exciting race of last season. I'm expecting this. This is going to be a thriller, Rod. This is the most excited I've been for an F1 race this season.
Yeah, well, again, because it was brand new last year, right? Very first time ever on this particular track. Very first time, well, not in Vegas because they did it in Vegas, but very first time on this particular track. And honestly, it did. It provided a lot of entertainment. The outcome was the same as we'd seen all last season. But, Cody, as we've talked about time in and time out now over the last couple of months, we can't predict the same thing happening as we have before. And honestly, I think even in this particular race, we can't predict the same thing happening as what happened last year. So like you, I'm excited for it. 1, because I get to watch racing on Sunday again. And 2, because it is Las Vegas and this is a pretty damn good spectacle.
Shh, don't tell anybody we can't predict it, Rod. That's what we're supposed to be doing here.
Well, listen, we're going to predict what we can predict, but I tell you, the winner is what I'm thinking, that it's going to be difficult to predict the same thing that happened last year is going to happen this year.
No, yeah, I completely agree with you. I was just kidding. But it is like, dude, the parity in F1 right now, we all know what it is, how it is, and it is tough, which can be a good thing, right? Well, it is a good thing as far as the racing goes. Betting-wise, it can be tricky, but it can also be a good thing as far as getting certain numbers on certain guys, being able to take more leaps of faith in guys, kind of call your shot at much bigger numbers. And yeah, I've got some of that today that I'm very excited for.
Indeed. Preston also saying you can't wait to make money this weekend on Ferrari to put it all on McLaren next weekend in Qatar. JDK saying Vegas, baby, just win. You'll be up $500 by midnight. And then Preston, one more time, absolute hammer lock for everyone that has Caesars. Don't want to take away from the dock, rather, but
give it to us, Preston. What is your absolute hammer lock? We definitely want to know. And if it's in the dock, we won't mention it until later.
Exactly. We won't do it. But speaking of hammer away on that subscribe button and download button. We definitely love all the subscriptions that we've been getting to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast channel. And of course, that carries over to the F1 Gambling Podcast channel as well. But if you haven't downloaded the SGPN app, then you are missing out, because not only are you getting the F1 Gambling Podcast on it, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast on it, but you're getting the big show, you're getting the Propcast, you're getting old-fashioned fantasy football, and tons of other great content. Then all the picks pages, all in one convenient app. And just like all the rest of our content, it is completely free. So go type in SGPN in your app store and download it today. All right, Cody, like I said, we are at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. And like you said, this is definitely one of the more exciting races. But do you think, though, that it definitely was more exciting because it was brand new and it was Vegas and nobody kind of knew what to expect? Are we gonna see that same thrill level this time around?
You could definitely make that case for sure, right? Nobody had ever been there. It was a new course. Of course, they raced, F1 raced in Vegas back in the 80s, but completely different course. None of these drivers, of course, car was completely different. So all brand new to these drivers. So definitely that could have been a factor, yes. But last season was also Max Verstappen wins 347 races, and he won this one too. No surprise, right? But you didn't know he was going to win it throughout the day. There was a lot of really good racing, a lot of competition, a lot of storylines that went into the race, and just a lot of good battles. There's certain tracks, and we see this in all type of racing, right? NASCAR, IndyCar. There's certain tracks that are just tough to pass on. You can't pass. There's not a lot of room. This didn't seem to be the case here last year. We had a lot of battles, a lot of back and forth. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one, and we saw a very parity type of race last season amidst Max winning every single race, and we didn't really have any parity. Now, Rod, there's 6, 7 drivers that you could pick to win this race, and nobody can be like, yeah, they don't really have a chance. Like, they do all have a chance because they've all won over the last 10, 12 races. So, I think that the combination of last year being really good, and then you throw in the parity we've had this season and the almost unpredictability of who's going to be good any given week, I think those combined are going to help. Obviously, teams have notes, the drivers have notes, right, from being here last season, but it's only 1 year. So I don't think that that's going to give anyone some huge advantage by any means.
Yeah, I'm excited to see which 3 drivers will be riding home in the limousine, or at least not home, but to the podium in the limousine this year. Loved watching Charles Leclerc or Max Verstappen in the same back seat of that limo driving to it. So that was a lot of fun. If you are listening and you did not listen to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, I apologize for the scratchiness of my voice. I had a very crazy weekend in which I was screaming at unruly parents trying to park in the wrong spots at my daughter's band review. So spent a lot of time yelling it. So I lost my voice doing that. So kind of rough, but we'll get through this one for sure. All right. Don't be an unruly parent, by the way. If there are rules put out in place, you are not special. And if there's traffic backed up and you see that we're dealing with a bus, you're not special. Like, yell at me all you want that you've got to be somewhere. But so does everybody else in that line. Whatever.
But don't you know who my kid is, Rod?
I have zero care for who your kid is. You're going to wait in line just like everybody else. All right.
I like it. Okay, real quick, get into Preston. This is not in the doc. So this is Preston's bonus bet on the show for you guys. The bet, most laps led by a single driver, over 21.5 at minus 120 in a 50-lap race. We're maybe getting 2 big lap leaders, most likely 1. So 1 guy to lead 22 of 50 laps. Rod, Preston thinks that that's a hammer. What say you?
So I looked at this. I really did. And we had 3 lap leaders last season in this particular race. So at least three drivers to lead at least 1 lap, in which it was Max Verstappen with 29, Charles Leclerc with 13, and Sergio Perez at 8. So even if we get 3 different leaders, Preston, I believe that 1 can hang on to the lead. Because Max did start in second, right? And Shaw started on the pole and led 13 laps, and Max led 29. So there is a world in which the pole can come out and lead some laps. But then, if one of the more dominant cars takes over, I think we can get a pretty decent long run. So I like this one. I will hammer it with you there, Preston.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a feel. I guess we're probably going to get somebody that leads a good chunk, right? But to the point of the battles we had last year and the parity that we've had this season, it feels like we could have multiple guys battling for it. But that being said, we just kind of get into a long run, so it leads 20 laps, and then all of a sudden you're only 2 laps away or whatever the case. I don't know what the fuel window and all of that is, but yeah, I probably would take the over with you as well. I don't know that I feel like it's a hammer bet, but Preston knows what the fuck he's talking about, Rod. So who are we to
He's
second
drizzled,
guess him? And yeah, I'll go in with you, Preston.
Yeah, I like this one as well because again, even if we see 3 leaders, that's what I'm saying. Like we saw 3 leaders last year, and this is still 8 laps to take away, or 7 laps, I suppose, to take away to get to 22. So yeah, I think that's very easily the opportunity to is there for someone to lead 22 laps. So absolutely love it. I love it a lot. All right, Cody, we are at the Las Vegas Strip Circuit, right, which kind of jumps around the strip and right by that gigantic big sphere. I've yet to see that in person, and I haven't been to Vegas in a very long time, but I need to see that.
That I love when it's got like the eyes on it looking down at the F1 cars. Like just it's great. Yeah. It's pretty the sphere's pretty cool. Obviously, then a lot of the partners light up and stuff and some pretty cool scenes as the drivers race past the sphere.
Indeed. 50 laps around this 6.20 kilometer track for 309.958 kilometers. So a touch over 3 miles in this instance as well. This thing looks like like I said, it looked like a bunny rabbit last year. But if you are familiar with conchas, there's these piggies that they make that are sweet piggy.
See, I was just upside down pig is what I was thinking. Like it's got the hoofs and everything on the front of it there. Nice snout, little cutout spot for the tail. Like it's definitely a pig if you flip it over.
Yep, it's a pig, and yeah, like those Mexican pastries that they make that look like pigs. That's exactly what that is. I know because my grandma loved them and made me love them as a result. So, gotta love it. Lap record for this one: 1.35 seconds, set by Oscar Piastri last year. Like we said, there's not a lot of track history here. Only winner on this on this track was Max Verstappen. So, I mean, surprise, surprise. But yeah, that's where we're at there.
Yeah, it's not so that. From a handicapping perspective, makes it a little tougher, right? We don't have a lot to look back on. Although, for the most part, most of the season, it's been hard to look too much past, last season, at least at the top of the board. Some of the farther down guys for sure. But for me, Rod, it's kind of all about what did you do last season, I think is important. But what have you done for me lately? For the most part, is maybe not so much of my first bet that I'm about to give out. As I say that, I'm thinking, oh, maybe not so much, but sort of actually yes, because I've got a case to paint for this guy. So we'll leave it at that.
Well, I mean, it is a hard balance to strike in this instance because there has only been one race on this track, so you can't really dive into track history. And honestly, you can't really dive into similar track histories because if you look at this particular track, there's 2 DRS zones, but there is a long straightaway between 13 and 14, and then another longer straightaway between 4 and 5. And there's not a lot of sharp corners, not a lot of low-speed corners. Most of these corners are high-speed corners, right? Where you're kind of carrying a lot of speed into it. There's not a lot of technicality in this particular street course. So a lot of raw speed is going to go into this. A lot of DRS, obviously, is going to go into this. So it's just a matter of, picking your overtaking spots and being able to kind of be in the right spot at the right time. So, I mean, on a longer track like this, right, it just makes it difficult because you can't compare it to any other track. I can't compare it to even last week's track, let alone a Coda or a Miami, which are both in the States,
I wouldn't compare anything to last week's monsoon or last race monsoon, Rod.
Oh my God. That was ridiculous.
But hey, Max came through for us 11-1.
Sure did. All right. We'll start breaking down this race, shall we? Let's do that. But before we do, I want to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. The crickets, where did this come from? When you hit the button, it's not the right button. There it is. We're going to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. We've had fun all season long with Underdog Fantasy, be it NASCAR, be it Formula One, be it football, be it whatever it is you've been playing on Underdog Fantasy. We have loved them all season long, and I'm even in the wrong ad read. Unbelievable. All right, well, we've loved Underdog Fantasy, but let me tell you also about MyBookie. First day at the controls, guys. This is a lot of fun. We're brought to you by MyBookie. MyBookie AG started out with us here at the SGPN, and now we are back. You can check out the new and improved website, which works great on mobile. Plus, props for every game and the live dealer casino, even new early cash out options. Looking right now, I love the Fresno State Bulldogs. MyBookie has them as 20-point favorites over the New Mexico State Aggies at -110. It's a little bit rich for my blood, but I will tell you to take the over on this one. 48.5 is the over total, set at -110. Look, Fresno State can put up points in bunches. New Mexico, probably not so much, but look, Fresno State could probably clear this by themselves against New Mexico. So go ahead, take that over 48.5 for Fresno State taking on New Mexico on Saturday late night. You can find that on mybookie.ag. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. We're brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a brand new social sports book available in 45 states. And yes, California, it's available here too. Huge market of betting opportunities are available on Rebet. It's easy to use and great for people in states where traditional sportsbook may be restricted. Looking at you, California. Download Rebet in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus match up to $100. That's Rebet, promo code SGPN. All right, Cody, one thing I'll be looking at on Rebet is the ability to bet on this Las Vegas Grand Prix. So I feel like we've set the race up enough. Let's go ahead and start knocking out some bets.
Let's get into it. By the way, Preston checking back in as well. Said closest comparison he's seen anyone say is Baku, but even that has tight, twisty sector of the track. I think it's a blend of Baku and Monza with the high speeds and the heavy brake zones. Yeah, that's pretty much, pretty good example. But again, to your point, not like one direct comp for sure. So that can make it tricky. But Rod, we'll try it anyways. And I'm going to kick it off, Rod, with the Street Course King, because this is a street course. Give me Checo. Sergio Perez, Rod. You can get him to finish on the podium at 20-1. This, Rod, this number is just too big. Look, I get it's not been the best season ever for Checo. It's, a lot of questions. Would he even finish the season with the team? Has he almost single-handedly cost the team the constructors title potentially? Like, yes, I get it. You look back, Rod, and you think, well, he's finished 17th in 2 of the last 5 races. That's not very good, is it? I'm not setting up this bet very good, am I, Rod? But the reason I'm saying it this way is because that's possible with Checo, right? So when you bet on Checo, you have to go into it with the mindset of sometimes he doesn't make it out of Q1. Sometimes he shits the bed, and he's finished 17th in 2 of the last 5 races. But on the flip side of the coin, Rod, he has 5 top 7 finishes in the last 9 races. So he can finish pretty decent. Now, is top 5 on the podium? No, but you got to be up there, and you got to be able to compete with it, which is what I like. Again, we've talked about the parity lately. It's not like it used to be where it's like, okay, Red Bull's for sure going to be 1-2, and then Mercedes is going to be 3-4, and then Ferrari's going to be 5-6. Alonso's going to be sprinkled in there somewhere, and then like it's any mixture of those guys can be up there, and that includes Checo Perez being up there as well. He's been top 8 in 14 of the 20 Grand Prix this season. So, yeah, there's been a couple of glaring 17th, 18th place finishes. That's what we sort of focus in on, but that's only been 6 of the 20 Grand Prix this season. Otherwise, he's been inside the top 8 where the big 5 teams live, right? Or the big 4 teams, I guess, if you want to be more specific about it. But he also finished 3rd place here last season, Rod. Little strategy at the end to get him there, but he got it done in the one race we have here. He's really good on street courses. His teammates coming off of winning a race last time out, right? Asterisk mark, right? Crazy rain race, monsoon, half the cars didn't even make the race. Everything was insane. A lot of things fell his way. Yes, but still won the Grand Prix, so I'm going to put that as a check in his box. But Checo Perez, 20-1 to be on the podium, Rod. He could finish 17th. He's like Joey Logano, right? He could finish dead last and just not even be a factor, but he could also be in competition to win this race. 20-1 just to finish in the top 3. I think you got to take that. Then I'm also going to toss in George Russell to finish on the podium at 8-1 because he's just been solid lately. 4th last time out. Again, that was the rain race, but survived no matter what was thrown at him, survived it, got there 4th place at the end of the day. He's been top 5 in 4 of the last 5 Grand Prix. He's got 2 wins, asterisk mark. He got disqualified in one of them, but 2 earlier on the season, right? 8th place last season. Did start 4th or 3rd place, however. So he could start up in the podium position like he did last season. Maybe he holds on to it a little better this year. Of course, we know Lewis Hamilton leaving soon. Russell is going to be the top guy over at Mercedes. He's sort of started to step into those shoes. Could he come out and have a strong, solid day? Mercedes, while they've not competed for wins as much as McLaren, Red Bull, or McLaren, Ferrari really have been the teams winning lately. And Red Bull, obviously, with Max finally getting back to victory last time. But Mercedes has kind of been that other team that's been mixing it up in there. But it seems like every week, Russell is just kind of right there, right? He's in the mix. Not necessarily on the podium, but at least close to it. You don't have to worry about him getting bounced in Q1 very often. He's going to at least feel like you have a shot at this in an 8-1. Again, these are both bigger numbers, but both from drivers and teams that are going to be in competition to be on the podium at the end of the day. I just think it's mispriced a little bit. So Checo Perez 20-1, George Russell 8-1, both to finish on the podium.
Look, and we're not far removed from the days when these guys' numbers to be podium finishers were way half of that, or if not, a third of that. So
even to open the season, Perez, I'd have to go back and look, but he was on the podium probably 7 or 8 of the first 9-10 races. Like when Red Bull was still kind of in the domination, right? Max is winning every week. Checo wasn't winning, but he was right there behind Max in second place each and every single week. We're not that far removed from all that.
No. And so these numbers right here, obviously they dictate the decline of both of these drivers, but I do think that there's a very good chance that as the season comes to a close, I mean, these guys can find a little extra speed as well. So I'm with you on both of them. I like the angles and I like the numbers. I'm going to go to a head-to-head for my first one. Caesars is giving us head-to-heads in the race. 2 Williams drivers pitted head-to-head, and that is Franco Colapinto and Alex Albon. I'm going to take the young rookie side of this. I'm going to take Colapinto as a plus 220 winner over Alex Albon in this particular race. And honestly, this stems from a fact that neither one of these drivers are going to be jockeying for a top 6, unfortunately. I would love to think that that's in their possibility, but neither one of them has really, Albon for sure has been close, but has never cracked the top 6 this season at all. The closest he came was a 7th place in Baku, which, by the way, Preston, if that is a comp track to be had, then this kind of ruins my thought process. But I will say that Colapinto has got things figured out over the last several races. Last week was kind of tough. He did crash, right? I mean, he actually crashed with his teammate, I think is what it was. It's been so long ago that I'm kind of forgetting exactly who he crashed with, but he did end up crashing. Still actually finished better than Albon, who finished 18th, and then Colapinto finished in 17th place in that. But the first 2 races of the season for Colapinto were Monza and Baku. And then at Monza, he finished 12th, where Albon finished in 9th. So didn't get him there. And then the following week at Baku, I just told you that Albon finished 7th. Colapinto finished right behind him in 8th. But you got to figure Colapinto was getting his legs beneath him. He was trying to figure out how to drive this car, and he drove it to an 8th place finish at Baku, which is not an easy track to get an 8th place finish. From there, 11th place at Marina Bay, 10th place at Coda, 12th in Mexico City, and then, of course, the 17th in Interlagos. Albon didn't fare too well in those 3 races. 20th at Marina Bay, 16th at Coda, 19th at Mexico City, and then crashed and finished 18th. So I'm looking at a 4-race stretch for Albon that has not been very good at all so far this season, whereas outside of last week, you saw at least a decent run, almost points finish at least for Colapinto in a couple of those races, at a points finish there. So in my opinion, Colapinto is going to be jockeying for a points position by the end of the day. I don't know if Albon's going to be doing that, and it sucks to think about it that way, but this is where we're at. And for Albon last season on this track, he ended up finishing in, I'm looking for it because I just clicked off of it, but Alex Albon finished in 12th in this particular race in the same Williams equipment. So, I mean, again, it's just not, I don't have a whole lot of faith that he's going to be jockeying for a points finish by the end of the race. Now, Logan Sargent was his teammate back then, and Logan Sargent finished in 16th, so obviously did not get outdone by his teammate in that instance. But like I said, this young driver is just feeling it out. He's got nothing to fear right now. He was not racing for a points finish, honestly, for the constructors. He's just going out to try to get a really good, solid finish and for him, it could be a points finish. So, give me Franco Colapinto over Alex Albon. That got that at plus 220 over on Caesars.
Yeah, no argument from me here, Rod. I think you laid it out pretty nicely. We've seen Colapinto be pretty impressive in the couple of starts that he's made since taking over this ride. So no argument from me here.
Yeah. And again, it's just a fun guy to cheer for because he's not one of these guys that we see plastered every single week. He's just making a name for himself and he's doing it quite nicely. So,
yeah. And real quick, back to the Red Bull deal. Preston saying for reference, Red Bull double podium was minus 125 at Saudi. Checo by himself now 20-1. Pretty incredible for that to be the case, Rob.
It very much is. All right, we will continue to give you our bets, but now let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. It's time. I teased you before. Now I'm following through with it. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus in all of sports, whether it's NASCAR, whether it's Formula One. Actually, you can even get in on esports. The big Overwatch Championship Series is happening this weekend, so you can pick your favorite players from Crazy Raccoon. Maybe you like Twisted Minds. Maybe you like Space Station Gaming. I don't know what it is. Team Falcon. Pick one of your favorite players and pick higher than or lower than their projected scores for the tournament. NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, F1, so many more. You can use boosts and specials on all of Flex entries. Go ahead and use it on that esports thing. Have some fun with it. You don't know what you're looking at? Who cares? Just pick a side and have some fun with it. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. You're going to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build a model for you. Now you can track props in the Rhythm app. NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, NBA. Rhythm has it all. Going to be figuring out which side of the Christian McCaffrey over under on rushing and receiving total is. Be building out my Rhythm model to help me get there because I'm telling you right now, I want it to point to the over because I love Christian McCaffrey. Need him to have a big day to kind of pick us up from having a bad day on Sunday. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, Cody. Where are we going next?
Let's take a little journey over to Canada, Rod, for this Las Vegas Grand Prix, and go with our. We're gonna say he's our favorite Canadian F1 driver, mostly because he's the only one. Makes it pretty easy to be the favorite. But give me Lance Stroll to finish in the points, Rod. Just to finish the points, which, if you're not familiar with F1, that's a top 10 finish, right? 20 cars on the grid. Just finish in the top 10, get paid out the points. Lance Stroll 4-1 for a points finish. Didn't get any laps in last week, Rod, or last race out. Of course, he wrecked on the pace laps after that race was just an absolute utter shit show. It was entertaining for sure. The whole weekend was very entertaining, but crazy. But prior to that, 11th place finish at Mexico. So right on the outside of the points there. 6 points finishes this season. He's been top 13, though, in half of the Grand Prix this season. Of course, there's only 20 cars in the grid, but he's at least been within 3 spots of getting inside of the top 10, which is what you like to see. And last year, Roddy finished 5th place here in Las Vegas. So give me the Canadian Grand Prix, or give me the Canadian driver, rather, Lance Stroll, to get it done here in the United States in Las Vegas and catch that points finish at 4-1.
I love me some Canadians. By the way, shout out to the Toronto Argonauts, the 111th Grey Cup champions, getting it done, beating the hated Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And that's boy, they crushed them too. That was a
fierce rivalry there, Rob.
Yeah, it's a fierce rivalry for sure. But not really. I mean, it's what it is.
I had no idea. I was just throwing that out there.
I mean, it
sounded great, so I was hoping for it.
There's only 9 teams, Cody. Everybody is
9. There's 9 teams
in the So I said
that's
yeah.
I just feel like a round number would be better, like 8 or 10. But
so
works.
So there's 5 in the West, 4 in the East, and that's where we're at. So they're trying to get one more in the East. They've been trying to get the Atlantic Halifax team out there for a while. The Atlantic Schooners, that hasn't fared out very well, but this is not a CFL podcast. However, I could make it.
Well, tune into the CFL podcast. I'm sure they'll break all that down for you.
Yeah, no, I love me some CFL. I love me some Canada. But what I love them, but I love Yuki Tsunoda a little bit more because I've got Yuki Tsunoda to win Group 4. I don't know if we've ever really done a group bet on.
There is a lot more options, which probably because it's the Vegas Grand Prix, right? So you're going to get that, but there's a lot more options this week than we generally get. Groups is not something I really recall seeing in the past. We also get like the winning car number. Or did you play those?
I did not.
But I saw there was winning car numbers, even and odd, over, under. I was like, wow, these are not options we generally get on F1. So great to see. Obviously NASCAR is over as well, so maybe trying to pull in some of those bettors. But I love having the group option. It's great.
Me too. So I'm going to take advantage of it. Yuki Tsunoda, winner of Group 4 over on Caesars, over Kevin Magnussen, Liam Lawson, and the aforementioned Lance Stroll. I mean, I was going to give you a whole bunch of stats to back this up, but I will say the only one that really scares me in all of this is Kevin Magnussen, because we have seen lately, obviously he didn't race last week, but we've seen lately that he has been able to put together top 8 runs and flirting with top 6 runs, not really getting there yet. But for Yuki, it's really just a matter of him being able to do what we know he can do, and that is also be a points finisher, whether that is an 8th place finish, whether that is a 9th place finish. And, Liam Lawson, he did finish in 9th place in the in Coda earlier this year. So a pretty good finish there. But to me, this just feels like an opportunity for Yuki to finish better. And maybe Kevin Magnussen is a little rusty after missing last week. Maybe Stroll does finish 10th, but Yuki finishes in 9th. Maybe Liam Lawson finishes in 11th, just outside of the points total, because for him, the range of outcome is a lot bigger, in my opinion, for Liam Lawson than it is for even Kevin Magnussen or Lance Stroll. Like, I figure Lance Stroll, if he does finish inside of the points, it'll probably just be inside the points, right? A 10th place finish for him. With Lawson, you either get a 9th place finish or you get a 16th place finish. Like, he finished 9th at Austin, 16th in Mexico City, and 9th place at last week in Interlagos. So, you kind of know where you're going to get with Lawson. It's either going to be just at the tail end of the points, or you're going to get a bad finish out of him. And then for Yuki Tsunoda, we've talked at length this season about his ability to be in the mix for points finishes week in and week out, and most of the time kind of get it done. He finished 7th last week, right? So he finished inside of that craziness that happened. He finished 7th in Miami, 7th in Melbourne. So he's got the capability. 8th at Monte Carlo. I mean, that's a tough one to finish 8th at, right? That's a tough track. And he ended up finishing 8th there, 9th at the Hungaroring. So, for Yuki, we know, and we've talked about it all season long, his ability to be contending for a higher spot than some of these other guys, like Magnussen, who's inconsistent, like Lawson, who's got 3 races under his belt this season, and is finished 9th 2 times, which is fantastic. But all Yuki has to do is finish 8th or 7th, like he's done in the past, to get this done, even if Stroll does manage a 10th place finish and a points finish for us.
You know how much I love Yuki Tsunoda, Rod. So I'm not going to argue with you on this one. You could still cash Stroll in the points and hit the, or maybe Stroll has a bad day. You can miss out on that. You end up cashing on the Yuki to win the group as well. Maybe they finish outside of the points, you hit it. So it's definitely not taking away from the Stroll to be in the points by any means. So yeah, give me Yuki to win the group as well. I love me some Yuki Tsunoda. Didn't make my card this week, Rod, but I'm glad he got worked into the show.
Indeed. Yeah. And plus 320. That's a great number for that instance. So, all right, where are we going next, Cody?
Next up, Rod, I'm going to go with the winning margin under 6 seconds. This is minus 105. For me, Rod, this is just simply, we had a close race last season. The parity's been great this year, and I'm expecting a good, hard, close race again this week. So that's kind of where I went to get into this, to this number. Under 6 seconds at minus 105. Last season, it was 2.07 seconds with Max winning over Charles Leclerc. We had 19 seconds last time out of Brazil, but again, Like it was just there was so much rain, so many other circumstances. Half the cars didn't finish the race. Hard to really look at that, but only 4.7 seconds at Mexico. The U.S. Grand Prix was a little bit over at 8.5 seconds, but a couple of the races we've had here lately have been under or close to under, along with last season's race. And just, man, the way that I feel like this is going to be, and I really hope it lives up to this, but I feel like this is going to be one of those classic races of we've had all this parity all season. There's a lot on the line, right? Like the drivers' titles pretty much wrapped up, but the constructors' title still very much out there, positioning for the other spots in the drivers and constructors' titles. It's getting down to the end here. Everybody's going to show up. We've had multiple weeks. It's Las Vegas, right? I know that these guys race all over the world, but still Las Vegas. It's a big thing. The United States has obviously become a lot bigger with F1. All the celebrities are going to be out in full force. I think these guys are going to show up, deliver us a show. I think it's going to be a close one at the end like it was last season. So give me the winning margin under 6 seconds at -105.
Yeah, I think you got to keep it close because the loser of that has to go to the buffet and actually buy everybody out in the buffet, right? So, no, listen, to me, this is going to be one of the races where they learned from last year, right? And they learned the ability to come back to this track and to sort of navigate it better this time around, which, and like you said, with the way teams have been close this year anyways, it just feels to me like this is an opportunity for them to have a closer race too by the end of the day. So I like this. I don't like though the ability for Sauber to be able to put together a good race. So I'm going to look, their first constructor retirement is out there on Caesars. I don't know that we've had a team, like we've had drivers like retire in other books, but I don't know that we've ever had like the first team retirement. And maybe we have, and I just overlooked it, but for Sauber to be the first team retired in this race, plus 550. If you've watched F1 at all this season, I almost don't have to sell you on the validity of this particular thing. 19th place finishes or 20th place finishes in so many races this year for Zhou Guanyu, especially 19th at Austin, 20th in the Dutch Grand Prix, 19th at Spa, 18th in Hungary. I'm sorry, 19th in Hungary, 18th at Silverstone, 18th at Suzuka, 18th at Jeddah. Like this guy continually finishes at the back of the pack and has been retired a couple of times already this season as well. I'm telling you, it's Preston jumping in saying, but Rod, Sauber put flames on their livery. That's an extra 10 horsepower at least. Side note, check out the V-Carb special livery. Drop it in Discord. Yeah, listen, Preston, I get that, but that just means that
the flames are just going to carry them to being knocked out quicker, Rod.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That means they're 10 horsepower faster to get to where they're going to be knocked out. So, yeah, I love that. But then Bottas is fared a little better. His average finishing position so this season is 15.9, but still finishes of 20th in Shanghai. Actually was the first guy out in that one with an engine. So if bad luck is going to fall on a team, it will fall on Kick Sauber because that's just the way it's been falling lately. And at plus 550 for them to be the first team retired, yes, please. That means I don't have to even pick which one. I could just wait for either one of them to have those flames engulf their entire car, or at the very least get them to a poor finish faster.
Oh wait, we weren't supposed to put real flames on the car. Oops.
See,
that feels like something that Kick Sauber would actually do. Rod is fuck that up. Yeah, I like obviously things can go wrong. It could be a wreck and somebody else can retire first, but when it comes to just having the shittiest cars on the grid, it's not even close with Kick Sauber. I mean, they take home the cake, flaming and all, Rod. So, by the way, Preston did just drop the paint livery. Sorry, the livery over there in the Discord. And the V-Carbs have glitter on them, Rod, which actually, under the lights of Las Vegas, glitter over flames. Yeah, I'm going to take it in the glitter car. So that reinforces your Yuki Tsunoda bet from earlier. And I do think that Kick Sauber is going to flame out, if you will, this weekend. So I enjoy the first retirement from them, Rod.
Yeah, like I said, a plus 550. Plus, I'm swinging for the fences this week. It's Vegas, baby. If you don't gamble, then what are you doing?
It's literally what the city's literally built on, Rod. So you gotta gamble. I love it. It's so beautiful to have this next section of the show back, Rod, and to be in here. You can actually give out winners. They have a good shot. It's so funny. The books, Max Verstappen goes out and wins last time out, right? We gave him out 11-1, great hit, and they're suddenly scared. Like, boom, shoots up to the top of the board again, tied with Lando. But I noticed some books are even offering winner without Max again, Rod. It's like, wow, okay, let's maybe not overreact too much to whatever that race was last time out. But, Rod, what I am going to react to is how fucking good Charles Leclerc has been lately, how fucking good Ferrari has been lately. Give me Charles Leclerc to win the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Plus 320 over on ESPN is where I found that one. Ferrari's won 2 of the last 3 races, Rod. Let's not forget that. They won the 2 previous ones to Max winning, of course, last time out. Shaw himself won at the United States Grand Prix. So last time they were on U.S. soil here a few weeks back. He also won the Italian Grand Prix not very long ago. He's been on the podium 6 of the last 8 races. Ferrari, we have just seen really figured it out over the last couple of Grand Prix, Rod. They've come out, they've been really fast. They've not only been fast in qualifying, getting the cars up there, but then race trim has been great. They've done a good job. You talked about the high speed areas that they have here at Vegas. I think that's going to favor Ferrari as well, along with, Leclerc has been great, obviously won Monaco earlier this season. So again, you want to kind of cross those, that's kind of a cross with this track. You like to hear that as well. And then last season, Rod, again, it was the Max Verstappen show. This was his 700th win in a row. Charles Leclerc took it to Max and gave him a run for his money. And you thought that was going to be the race of somebody's going to Max, and it's going to be Charles Leclerc. He was wheel to wheel with him to the very end. Of course, Max kind of gets a little bit away at the end there with that 2-second win, but Charles Leclerc was right there in the mix. I think he takes it this weekend, Rod. Plus 360 for the team that's won 2 of the last 3 races, for him having won the last normal race, I'll say, that we had. I'll take that in F1 especially. So give me Charles Leclerc to win. And then, Rod, at 100-1, our friends over at BetUS, Sergio Perez, 100-1, Rod. I made the case earlier for the podium finish. Look, if I think he can get on the podium, there's a chance he can win this race. Is it 100-1 for a reason? Yes. Should it be 100-1? No, absolutely it shouldn't. He's still in a Red Bull. They're still fast cars. We've overcorrected and made his teammate. So his teammate's suddenly the favorite at less than 2-1. He's in the same car and he's 100-1. I get it. The hate's been strong. He's not had a great season. 2 17th place finishes in the last 5 races. I read it off, but there's all the other side of that where he's had some good runs, and he's at least been in contention. Maybe they pull something crazy off. It's a strategy. I don't care how he gets up there, Rod. Maybe some people stumble in qualifying, and Checo just has the drive of his life. If he could get on the pole and get out front on a street course in a Red Bull, he can go beat everybody. It's very possible. He should not be 100-1. This isn't just pick somebody that's 100-1. I want to give out a long shot because it's Vegas and it's fun and it's exciting. Like, he legit has a shot to win this race. Shouldn't be the favorite, obviously. Shouldn't be 10-1 or something, but he shouldn't be 100-1. Just way too big of a number. So give me Charles Leclerc plus 320. I think that he's going to be the guy this weekend. But I think Checo Perez, you just definitely make a strong case at a 100-1. Worth laying a little coin on.
Yeah, well, look, go with God on that one because Checo, it's
100-1. Like, again, if he comes out and finishes 17th, well, he was 100-1, Rod. Like, who cares? But he comes out and qualifies on the pole, and suddenly, he's sitting there at 2-1 to win the race, and you're holding a 100-1 ticket. That's not too bad.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And if he does end up winning this race, then we will all party like it is the 1999. All right, I'm going to go with the guy that's won some races this season. That's Oscar Piastri. I think it's time for him to win again. He finished 10th here last season in the not quite as McLaren has been this year. So he actually started 18th in that race and drove his way all the way up to 10th place in that McLaren car. In the time when they weren't as dominant as they are this season and winning races from Max Verstappen. So I think Piastri at 14-1 is a fantastic number for one of the only other guys that's really won a race this season outside of the Verstappens and the Perez's and the, Perez hasn't won, but you know what I mean? The Leclerc's and the Sainz's and all the guys that have won races already this season, and the Norris's. But yeah, 14-1 for him, especially when everybody else is kind of tight. Like you said, they pretty much just clinched up on Verstappen quickly. They're like, nope, plus 260, boom, that's what you get. 260 for Leclerc as well on Caesars, 260 for Lando, 550 for Sainz, and then like I said, nestled right there. That's kind of a big jump between Sainz and Piastri at 14-1. But I do like it. Again, we know that so far this season, Piastri has won his fair share of races, and I think he's primed to do it again. I mean, team orders we've seen aren't necessarily always followed by these guys, and they always tend to question those team orders anyways. And so I think for Piastri, now that the Constructors' Championship is basically a lock, and Cody, like you said earlier, this is kind of, I would say, okay, it's still difficult.
Ferrari's right on their heels, Rod.
They are.
It's not a lot.
That just means that both of them have to push, right? And both of them have to be better than Ferrari. And the way to do that is to go out and win races. So I think that given the fact that Lando is seeing the Drivers' Championship sort of slip out of his reach, the team orders now are just going to be, whichever one of you can get us a damn win, go get us a damn win. And I think, again, we've seen Oscar Piastri run well enough this season to contend for a win. And McLaren, they're going to have fast cars. This is a fast track. So I think one of them can win, and I think that'll be Piastri at 14-1.
Yeah, well, and when his teammate again is co-favorite with Verstappen, and yet they've had both success this season. Yes, there is that chance that team orders can come into play, and Piastri will yield the team orders if they're given, but it has to line up perfectly where you even have that opportunity to give it. If it happens, it happens. But Piastri has shown to be a very good talent. I'm extremely excited for his future. He's going to be a future world champion, and I think he's eventually going to be the number one driver over there at McLaren as well. But I think that he could definitely get it done. And a 14-1, you're getting a good number on him. Yeah, I really like this one.
I do as well. All right, Cody, everybody get out your pen and paper. It's time to go over our bets for this Las Vegas Grand Prix from the Las Vegas Strip Circuit. Cody started you out with Checo Perez as a podium finisher at 20-1, and Russell as well. I was going to say Russell Wilson. I got to get out of here. George Russell at 8-1. I gave you Franco Colapinto to finish better than his teammate Alex Albon at plus 220 over on Caesars. Cody gave you Lance Stroll as a points finisher at 4-1. I said Yuki Tsunoda would win Group 4 on Caesars at plus 320 over K-Mag, Lawson, and Stroll. Cody gave you the winning margin under 6 seconds at minus 105. I said go ahead and let Kick Sauber be the first car retired in this race. Either one of them. Take a pick. I don't care. Plus 550. Cody then said Charles Leclerc at plus 320 on ESPN and Checo at 100-1 on BetUS would be good picks to win this race. I gave you Oscar Piastri at 14-1. We all know what that means. Max Verstappen is going to go out and win this race. But whatever. I think we have enough bets on the outside that even if he does go out and win this race, I think we'll be covered either way. It looks like Cody is frozen and he has gone away. Either that or I'm frozen. I don't know which one it is.
Can you hear me now?
Let's get rich, boys. I can hear you now. Preston saying, let's get rich. See y'all next week. Great show as always. Yeah, Cody, you're back just in time to say goodbye.
Just in time to get out of here, Rod. But yes, F1 will be back next week already at Qatar. Actually, these last 3 races are all in a row, Rod. So we got shows the next 3 weeks or next 2 weeks here after this for Qatar, finishing it up in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, excited for it. And man, I'm so excited for this Vegas race. It's no NASCAR on the other TV, which sucks, but all focus over on the F1 race. It's going to be exciting under the lights, of course, there in Vegas. So pretty pumped for it, Rod. Best of luck to everybody this weekend. Hopefully Checo makes us some rich people here at Las Vegas. So in the meantime, Rod, follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. Check out the NASCAR Gambling Podcast as well. Still going strong on that through the off season. We'll be back tomorrow talking championship odds for 2025. Can't wait for that. And yeah, we'll see you guys all later.
Yes, sir. Yeah, P1 starts tomorrow at 6:30 Pacific, so 9:30 Eastern, late night practice one for you guys out there on the East Coast. So make sure you're paying attention to that. And then, of course, the race is on Sunday the 23rd at 10 o'clock for me at night. That's a late race, but anyways, love it. All right, guys, love you all. We will see you next week for more of the F1 Gambling Podcast. Remember to hit the subscribe button on this NASCAR Gambling Podcast. You'll always know when we're going live and talk to you and have some fun. All right, we'll see you guys next week for another race. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.